Hi, my name is Tommy Kelly. Hi guys, and welcome back to another video. Today I was actually going to address a question I got from one of the subscribers. They were talking basically about how when you go into hospital you get to the point where you feel as if that's your only safe place, that you constantly want to get back to hospital. It's as if you become institutionalized, if you like. So you basically love to be in there. You feel as if when you go out into the open world that you just can't be out there. It's like the hospital is your only safe place, and that is basically where you feel you belong. I have felt this myself in the past actually. Like I say, your eating disorder kids you on basically that you need to be into hospital. You get to the point it can be very selfish in some ways. I don't know if you've ever felt this way, but you actually want to get into hospital. You want to go in there, you basically want to be in there. It's like an attention seeking thing. I don't know if it's eating disorder that takes over that, but you do get that feeling. And then when you're in there, you're desperate to get home. You do everything you can to eat everything that they put in front of you to gain weight, so you can get home, knowing only too well that eating disorder in your voice tells you the minute you get out you're going to lose all that weight again. It's a vicious cycle, and you need to get to the point where you want to get better for yourself. Like I say, the hospital isn't your home. You need to realise that, but the eating disorder does kid you on that that's basically where you need to be. You've got to be in at the hospital, you've got to be in there, it's all for attention and things like that. This is what the eating disorder tells you, that this is the only place you can be. And when you're in the hospital, it's like a competition with each other in the hospital ward. You see other people with eating disorders, and their eating disorder habits actually bounce off you, and it's as if you're in competition. Who can lose the most weight this week? Can you pick up this tip and how they lose weight? You look around them and you see what they're eating and things like that, and you try to, I need to eat a bit less than them, and you share tips with each other. It's a competition. I don't know if you have ever felt this, but this is something that I have experienced in the past. So I thought I would share this with you, and if you guys have felt any of those kind of things when you have been in hospital, please let me know in the comments below. Also as well, I want to share some common myths about eating disorders that I feel are very relevant. The first, obviously, big common myth is that eating disorders are a choice. This is a complete lie. Like I say, eating disorders are a combination of genetic, biological, psychological, social and environmental factors. Eating disorders are misunderstood, and people suffer and face stigma every single day of their life, especially males, like I say as well, because there's this stigma around it being a female illness, and this is why a lot of males don't come forward until it's far too late. And hopefully with me and others speaking about eating disorders online, this is kind of breaking the stigma, and hopefully they come forward and realise that they're not going to be judged or anything. I mean, eating disorders don't discriminate on sexuality, colour, creed, anything at all. They affect everybody, high achievers, especially high achievers, because actually high achievers are known to suffer these kind of illnesses more than anything because of that kind of competitive background that they have, having to be the best and conform to society and things. Another myth is that eating disorders are very rare. That's rubbish. The fact is, 4% of the population will suffer with an eating disorder in their lifetime. An estimated 725,000 people in the UK suffer from an eating disorder. So there's a figure for you right out the bat. Another myth is that eating disorders are easy to treat. The fact is, 41% of people with eating disorders wait more than 6 months before they receive a diagnosis of treatment. Someone suffering with an eating disorder is less likely to relapse if they receive treatment immediately. More investments into eating disorder research is needed. Per 15 pence spent on eating disorder research, £1,571 is spent on cancer research. So there you go, 15 pence on eating disorders per person, 1,571 spent on cancer research. So like I say, obviously there's a high mortality rate in eating disorders, and there's a high mortality rate in cancers, illnesses as well. Like I said, I'm not trying to glamorise any of the two. My wife suffers with cancer illnesses, my mum's died with cancer illnesses. They take so many illnesses, but like I say, there's got to be more spent on both these illnesses and more done. Like, you think of all the money spent on people like for heroin addiction and things like that, there's billions spent on that a year, and the minuscule amount spent on illnesses like cancers and eating disorders and things like that. More needs to be done, guys, definitely. Another myth is that eating disorders are primarily about food and people with eating disorders don't eat at all. That's rubbish. Like I say, you can eat a range of food and display a regular pattern of eating and still have an eating disorder. Eating disorders present in different ways, and it's important as part of any assessment that we understand that these individual differences. Like I say, a diagnosis of an eating disorder is a health crisis. It can disrupt both personal and family functioning. Many people with an eating disorder will look healthy but be extremely ill. So you may see people with binge eating disorder or bulimia and things like that. They can look perfectly healthy and weight-wise and things like that. It's not all about the health size and the body image. It's about the illness up here. That's where the real damage is. Another myth is that eating disorders are usually caused by society and glamorous, photo-shaped, shopped images and celebrities in magazines or online. Well, while that is true that young people are exposed to images of glamorous celebrities in many articles in diet and fitness, the fact tells us little about how these messages are affecting young people and how the incidence of eating disorders. So like I say, the majority of young people do not develop an eating disorder. There are many different obviously factors in contributing to the development of an eating disorder, which include our biology and social and physiological and personal factors. There is not one direct cause for an eating disorder. Like I say, it can be many factors. It can be anything from bullying to losing a parent to something triggering your life. That you're genetically predisposed to that, and it's just something that actually triggers it and brings it on. The other myth is that people with mental health problems and eating disorders don't experience discrimination. Well, 9 out of 10 people with mental health problems experience stigma and discrimination. 32% of people feel stigmatised or discriminated against at work because of their illness. An eating disorder should not affect employment or educational prospects in the same way any mental illness as well. There should be more education in workplaces for things like this, but there is very little, and mental illness is basically discriminated in the workplace. Another myth is that only girls suffer with eating disorders. This is a big myth, and I know this only too well. Actually, 25% of people with an eating disorder are male. Eating disorders, like I say, don't discriminate. They affect people of all genders, ethnicities, age and socio-economic backgrounds. Another myth, obviously, as well, is that eating disorders are a phase. We all know that. People just say, oh, just grow out of it, you just need to eat, which is the worst thing you can actually say to someone with an eating disorder. If it was easy as just eating, they wouldn't have an illness. Like I say, an eating disorder is a serious mental illness and is unlikely to resolve without specialist treatment and obviously support. So you need a kind of basic support network, whether that be family, friends. Obviously your eating disorder recovery team is vital if you can have one. Like I say, not a lot of people actually have a good eating disorder unit. Like I say, it's hard to find a good support network and obviously an eating disorder specialist that you can obviously get help for and relate to as well. I'm lucky, I've actually got a really good support team and I owe them my life. But like I say, eating disorders claim more lives than any other mental illness due to obviously suicide as a consequence of obviously malnourishment, with the starvation in the body and the brain. That's where a lot of people don't correlate. A starved body is a starved brain, and when your body is starved of all the nutrients, your brain can't function, you can't focus on everyday tasks. Anything from watching TV to reading a book is even difficult in itself. Like I say, it's obviously really possible to make a full recovery. Like I say, many who have suffered an eating disorder go on to live great exceptional lives. but I always feel that an eating disorder is something that you're going to suffer with for the rest of your life. It's just something that you're going to have to keep that little voice, instead of it screaming at you, just a wee whisper in the gentle ear. Because like I say, it's all about you being the pilot rather than the passenger. That's the way I want to look at it. But like I say, you can't always recover it, but it's always going to be something that's there in the background, and you're just going to have to make sure that every little bit of your life you stick to eating by the clock, whether that be every 2 to 3 hours, because even and especially in eating disorder recovery, your body is so starved that you don't get those signals to the brain when you're actually needing food. So a good way that I've done it is by eating every 2 to 3 hours, eating by the clock, making sure that you get that nourishment in. So I hope this has helped, guys, and given you a wee bit of insight into the kind of myths and the backgrounds of eating disorders, and obviously what it's like being in an inpatient treatment, and the way we feel that we basically get institutionalised and we don't want to leave hospital, but when we're in there, we're desperate to leave and put on the weight, yet when we know we get back out into society, we're going to lose all the weight again. So please let me know if you've felt any of these things in your recovery and when you've been in inpatient. Please comment below, like, share and subscribe. Obviously, let me know about any other videos you would like me to focus upon as well. And I'll speak to you all in the next video. And remember that the little guy at the end of the video says, he knows best, guys. And I send you all my love, and I'll speak to you all soon. Remember, guys, binge on life, purge negativity and starve guilty feelings. Speak to you all soon and love you so much.